Hey YouTube, it's Zoe or Read by Zoe, and today I'm going to be doing my April wrap-up and May TBR. I am going to be traveling about half of May. I'm going to BEA or Book Expo America and BookCon in Chicago in a couple of days. And that's going to be about a week in Chicago, and then I am going to Hawaii at the end of May for also about a week. I've never been to Chicago or Hawaii and I'm really excited. So hopefully, I think in Hawaii I can get a lot of reading done because I'm not going to bring my laptop. I'm going to be doing a lot of filming and booktube related things in Chicago, so I'm not sure how much reading I'm going to be doing at a book expo. That does not sound like that makes sense. First, let's talk about what I read last month in April. April was a pretty hectic month. I participated in Camp NaNoWriMo, which I did kind of spectacularly fail at because I also had a whole bunch of finals, so it was really stressful, but I did manage to read 3 books, and the first book that I read was The Unexpected Everything by Morgan Matson. Simon & Schuster was so nice, and they sent me this advanced reader's copy, so I was able to read it before it came out. It was really good. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars, more leaning towards a 5, so like a 4.8, very close, but I just couldn't give it a 5. I can't exactly say why I didn't give it a 5 out of 5 stars without spoiling it, so I'm going to discuss it more in my review video of this book, which should be the next video on my channel, hopefully. I want to make it ASAP, and I have a lot to say about this book. It was really good, and I love Morgan Matson's writing. There aren't any playlists, but there are some excerpts of another book in here, so there is a little something extra. I love Morgan Matson's writing style, and especially how realistic she makes it. It's supposed to be realistic fiction. It is a contemporary romance book, but the friendship and the romance, everything just flowed really nicely. I also liked how there was a family aspect to it, and there was a solid friend group of girls. It did not disappoint though. Morgan Matson is one of my favorite writers, and if you were thinking about picking up a summery contemporary book this summer, pick up one of Morgan Matson's because she is the bomb of summery contemporary chick lit type books, but also she somehow makes them a little bit more meaningful than just chick lit. Because The Unexpected Everything put me in kind of a summery contemporary mood, I wanted to pick up another one, so I picked up This Is What Happy Looks Like by Jennifer E. Smith. My friend Maureen over at Maureen Kiwi recommended me this book because this is one of her favorite summery contemporary books, and I did not like it. That is nothing against Maureen at all. I just personally am not a fan of Jennifer E. Smith's writing. I didn't really care for the statistical probability of love at first sight, but I did like it more than this book. There was so much that I had problems with. There was definitely insta-love, even though technically they had met online a couple of months before they met in person, but we didn't really get to see any of their relationship evolve, and I didn't like the main character. I didn't really like any of the characters. I didn't feel connected to the story. Some of the characters are used obviously as plot devices, and they just come in to introduce new information and then they leave. You don't hear about them for a majority of the story, and they're supposed to be kind of important to somebody's life. There's too much happening, but also it felt like it was stalling. I went into more detail in my Goodreads review. I'm going to leave the link to my Goodreads down below so you can check that out. I don't think I'm going to pick up any more of her books. Did I say I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars? I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. To pick myself back up after I finished This Is What Happy Looks Like, I then finished Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. This is the 4th time I've read this book. I am insane, but also I love her writing. Jane Austen is a magnificent goddess of words, and I will never get tired of reading this book. Especially, I listened to the audiobook, which was narrated by Rosamund Pike, who played Jane in the 2004 5 version of Pride and Prejudice with Keira Knightley, and her voice is just so soothing. She was a really good narrator. Those were the books that I read in April, and now on to my May TBR, which stands for to be read. I know a couple of people were still unsure what that meant. It is to be read. The books that I'm going to read in May. The first 2 books that I want to finish in May are books that I started, I think, in March, and I kind of forgot that I was reading them because the stress of finals just got to me and I forgot that I was reading a whole bunch of books. So the first book that I want to finish, and I know I can finish in May, is The Reptile Room by Lemony Snicket, the second book in a series of unfortunate events. I started this in March and it is a children's book. It is so short. I'm also like 75% of the way through, so I have 50 pages left and the font is gigantic and there's a whole bunch of spacing. So why haven't I finished it? I'm going to finish it probably, hopefully, tonight. And then I want to finish Truth Witch by Susan Dennard. This was also recommended to me by Maureen and I really liked it, and I'm like half of the way through, but I forgot I was reading it. Don't let that make you think that this is bad or anything like that. No, it's really, really good. That's why I'm going to finish it, and it's going to be fantastic. This is about a fantastical world where there are different types of witches and they have different powers. It's really, really cool. It's kind of confusing at first because she kind of throws you into the world without much of an info dump, which I learned to rely on. You kind of have to wade through it at the beginning. The first 50 pages is kind of hard to get through because you have no idea what's going on. But once you understand the world, it gets so exciting. Then I want to reread 2 books. The first one is Amy and Roger's Epic Detour by Morgan Matson. This was her first book, and this is the first book that I read of hers. There are scrapbook pages and playlists in here. And photographs. It feels really interactive and like you really get a chance to go with Amy and Roger on their road trip. I'm reading this for Month of Matson, which is being hosted by Maureen over at Maureen Keevy. So many shouts out to her in this video. This is just Maureen's wrap-up and TBR video. But Month of Matson is a month where we read Morgan Matson's books. Maybe just one, or maybe you want to go all the way and read all of her books. We're not being sponsored or anything like that. We just really like Morgan Matson, and I feel like everyone needs to read her books because I feel like everyone would like them. They're just so fun. The last book that I want to read in May is another reread. It is The Raven Boys by Maggie Stiefvater. I read this, I think, a little more than a year ago, but to be honest, I forgot a lot about this book. I remember the ending, and the main character's name was Blue, and there was someone named Gansey. I really want to reread this first book to remind myself what happened so I can move on to the next books, because the last book in the Raven cycle, which is The Raven King, came out a couple of days ago, and I know a lot of people enjoy this series, and I want to be a part of that. I also have the first 2 books. I have this book, and I have the next book, which is Dream Thief, so hopefully I'll be able to read both of those books this month. If not, I'll just stick to this first book. Maggie Stiefvater's writing, though, is so poetic and it flows so nicely. It's so immersive. So I'm sure reading this series is not going to be a chore at all. It's going to be a very pleasant experience. That's the end of my April wrap-up and May TBR. I hope you all enjoyed. Also, remember to follow me on social media. I have a lot of it. All of my links are down below. Thank you all for watching, and I'll talk to you all soon in my next video. Bye!